TFA fam, what is up? What is happening? Hope everybody is doing well. We are on to week 7. This ugly week that this looks like it's going to be with 6 teams on bye. We got injuries. Brutal out in these streets this week. So we're going to be playing some players, probably get a little down in the dirt, if you will, for this week to figure out who we're going to play and who we're not. But that is what we are here to do, to try to help you out so we can keep the train rolling on to the fantasy playoffs. We're halfway to the fantasy playoffs.
Getting there.
Crazy.
Getting
Season
there.
always just flies by every year.
Takes so long to get here and then it's gone.
I know.
Every year.
I know. It just flies by. So we're almost, almost at double digits. So, anyways, 808. First up, beat Alexis here. That is good. Like to see that.
By
beat
a minute,
1 minute.
Looks like.
Yeah, 1 minute. Good job, 808. Evening, fellas. Let's go. 6-1 this week. Yep. Who would you play this week? Josh Palmer, KJ Osborne, Jerry Jeudy, Josh Reynolds, Jameson Williams, or Romeo Dobbs? I'm assuming you only need one of these.
Going Palmer. Going Palmer if we need one, and I would go Reynolds if we need 2.
I would go Palmer, yes, and then if not, I would go Jerry Jeudy after that. Because he's going to avoid the Jair Alexander coverage. That would be Cortland Sutton, who's going to get the pleasure of that since he plays so much from the slot. So, I think it'd be Josh Palmer and then followed up with Jerry Jeudy. So, on that one. Alexis, Sam Howell, Gino, or Jared Goff. Pick one. It is not Jared Goff. I'm not playing Jared Goff this week on the road. He just is not the same quarterback on the road as he is at home. And
except last week.
For the most part this year. But this Baltimore Ravens defense is pretty.
It's gonna be Geno Smith for me. I like this for a bounce back spot for this entire offense.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna go Geno.
Sam Howell, you just never know what you're gonna get. He's either gonna throw 302 or he's gonna give you $150, 2 picks, and take 12 sacks.
So I actually have Sam Howell ranked 11th this week, just ahead of Jared Goff at 12. So, Michael, start 2. Ridley, Lockett, Flowers, or Addison?
Go Ridley and Lockett. I would actually have them ranked in the order that you have them, Michael.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'd go Ridley and Lockett. Yeah. Alexa, starting JT over Godwin. No.
Would not do that.
I mean,
think JT sees some more work. We saw that the snap and the touch share be much more equal in week 2 of JT's return versus week 1, but not against the Browns.
Yeah, the Browns defense has been absolutely elite this
really
year.
Good.
I mean, they have been, bar none, the best defense in the NFL this year. They have pretty much shut down pretty much everybody they've played. So, I'm not trying to play people against them. Sure, they might get there in a random touchdown or, some receptions and stuff like that. But as far as on the ground, I just don't see it happening against this Cleveland defense. Michael, again, Kirk or Goff. Also, Waller or Laporta. So, Laporta over Waller for me.
Yeah.
And then at quarterback.
Man.
I think I would go Goff here.
Yes.
I have it really close. So I have Goff at, like I said, 12, and then I have Kirk at 13. So
Kirk is at home, but it's a primetime spot, so it's basically like he's on the road.
Yeah. 808 again, Roshan or Javante? So this decision might already be made for you. Roshan has not been cleared from the concussion protocol yet,
Did
so
not practice either.
did not practice today. But today doesn't really matter as much. You would like to have seen him get cleared today, or do a limited
At
practice.
least a limited practice. Yeah.
Yeah, tomorrow's going to be the day. If he doesn't get in a limited practice tomorrow, you can pretty much count him out. He's not playing, in week 7, which is frustrating because this is a pretty good matchup. All the weeks that with Khalil Herbert, on the IR is getting wasted away. And so I thought he'd been back by now. So if he's not, apparently this concussion is much worse than what we thought it was because it didn't seem like it was reported as anything super serious. But with this being over 2 weeks now, without him being able to return, like this is a little bit more serious than I think anybody would have thought it was. Because I think everybody thought he was going to make it because it's become pretty standard to miss 1 week after a concussion. Um,
Yeah.
the fact he's still out tells me that he's still having symptoms, and so that's just a problem. So we'll have to monitor. Hopefully tomorrow we'll know.
I do like the spot that Javante's in too, though. So the Packers have giving up the 5th, 6th most half PPR points per game to running backs. So I like both of them this week. So if you have to play Javante, I like the spot that he's in. Cam coming through with the super chat. Appreciate you, my guy. Desperate times, Tutu or Shaheed? It's not that desperate, like depending on your league size. I would lean Shaheed here though. Muted. Amateur. You're muted. You're muted. You're muted.
Oh, I think it's really close between these two. I would probably lean Shaheed though. It is close, but with Cooper Kupp coming back, he is now 3rd or 4th in line for targets, and so I think he can still get there. But Shaheed scares me just because he's really volatile, boom or bust. But now with Carr looking like he's actually able to throw the football downfield, that helps the rest of this offense to be able to move. And so I just think for Shaheed, I just like his matchup a little bit more, and he's a little bit further up in the target pecking order than what Tutu Atwell kind of is right now. So yeah, I'm gonna go
For the
Shaheed.
second part, I would go Gainwell over Royce Freeman. I just don't know what to expect from how that backfield's going to shake out, and at least you can lock Gainwell in for say at least 6 to 8 touches, right? Like you feel pretty comfortable that he at least gets that. I have no idea what to expect from Royce Freeman. Like I really don't. Like if this ends up being like a workhorse role for Zach Evans, I wouldn't be surprised. If this ends up being Myles Gaskin coming in and getting 30% of the touches, I wouldn't be surprised about that either. So I would have to go Gainwell on the second one.
Oh man, I do not love this, but yeah, I think I would go Kenneth Gainwell. You just kind of have a pretty good idea of the type of touches he's going to see. I mean, last week obviously wasn't great, but his ceiling is so capped. Like last week, he only saw 2 carries, 1 catch. Like, is there somebody else that that would stand out to you that might possibly be available that he could add? Like, is there anybody that kind of a sleeper type option that that people aren't that we're not really discussing that could be a better option? Just because like Royce Freeman.
I'm assuming if Cam grabbed Royce Freeman, that it's probably slim pickings out there.
Because I don't know if Myles Gaskin is sitting out there, but I think I would rather have him over Royce Freeman anyway. Now I don't know. I wouldn't. I mean, I know it's for this week, and I know it's the question for this week, but I think I'd rather have him than Royce Freeman. But did somebody drop Amari DiMercado? Because I mean, he at least played 45% of the snaps last week. I know the touches weren't necessarily there for him, but he ran like 50% of the routes too. Like I think we've kind of set that ship, and kind of set it off. And I don't know if it's settled, but like I don't know. It's like if I had to choose though, I guess I would go Kenneth Gainwell. It's just like you're probably looking at like 3 or 4 touches for him.
The only other one that I would consider, and this one you're going to have to wait and see, would be Divine Azigbo if Craig Reynolds is out. He was a DNP today. Again, normally on Wednesdays, we don't necessarily care about what happens on the practice reports. But the fact that, this is kind of out of nowhere a little bit. I mean, I didn't see anything about him getting banged up at the end of the game. If he is unable to go, Dave Montgomery's not going to be able to go. Zonovan Knight was put on season-ending IR last week, 2 weeks ago, something like that. So Divine Azigbo would be the only other name I could even think of that would be widely available if we're digging down to the Royce Freemans of the world this week. But that one is obviously going to be dependent on whether or not Reynolds plays, because then you're still going to have Gibbs coming off of the hamstring injury as well.
And I guess Cam is one. Is this a PPR format? I guess that helps too with understanding, like, because then it kind of opens some, a few different options up maybe too. So I'd be curious to know: is this a full PPR? Because you didn't really say in your question. So, is it PPR or standard half point PPR? Because that kind of changes stuff a little bit too. But because like maybe if Salvin Ahmed is sitting out there too, I mean, we'll see if or Jeff Wilson, I guess.
Jeff Wilson practicing full today.
Yeah, so I don't know. I doubt Jeff Wilson's sitting out there probably. I don't know. I know you're desperate times. But like if it's full PPR, I think then maybe you try to find somebody that could be utilized in the passing game. Because really at that point, if you can find somebody that can give you, 3 or 4 receptions, you're thrilled at this point with what's sitting out there. But yeah.
I got the Dolphins this week. 808.
This game is in Philly, right? I believe it is.
Yes.
I'm going to go Philly.
Judy Osborne or Gibbs for Alexis's first question of the night.
This is like his third question of the night.
Is it?
Yeah. He had a quarterback question.
Yeah.
JT over Godwin. But yeah, I'm going to go Gibbs here, assuming he plays. If he doesn't, then I would go Judy.
Gibbs for me as well. ET rocking with us. Good evening. Happy week 7. Happy week 7 to you, ET. Have a 2-parter for non-PPR. First, let's pick 3 between ETN, Kamara, Stevenson, and Mostert. I'm going to sit Stevenson.
Yeah.
And then 2 between DJ Moore, Godwin, and Dobbs.
DJ Moore and Godwin.
Samesies. 808, as always, the chat doing our job for us. Don't forget to hit the like button to support these guys. Hit us with a little subby sub while you're here as well if you have yet to do so. We just crossed the 5K mark, so onward and upward on the march to 6K. Really appreciate all you guys who have been rocking with us, new and old, who have gotten us to this point so far. So thank you all. ET, would Rashee Rice be a viable start over Godwin and Dobbs? Over Dobbs, yes, I would still go Godwin over Rice, but I really do like Rice this week.
Yeah, I would prefer Godwin to
slightly.
Yes, but then yes, I would take Rice over Dobbs.
The Guru is rocking with us. 2 trade options for me. RB2 and have a decent wide receiver depth. So Keenan Allen for Breece Hall and Marquise Goodwin, or Keenan Allen for Isaiah Pacheco and DK.
I'm going to go Breece Hall and Marquise.
Yep, I'm with you. Although if you have wide receiver depth, if you're just going for an RB2, Like, I'd rather trade one of your smaller pieces and keep Keenan Allen because he is a baller shot caller. I would hate to lose that production.
Yeah, that's kind of something I, you know, hit on a little bit. In
Well,
the
he followed that up with, you mentioned Kittle, but no one wants to bite on Kittle.
Yeah, I mean, you probably need him to come off another big game and then probably look to move him. I definitely would be looking to move him, but oftentimes, and we talk about this a lot, that people will tend to try to like when you want to go buy somebody, for example, like a running back, like we tend to just go straight to the top of the totem pole. Like I'm gonna go buy Tony Pollard or something like that, but it costs you so much to be able to make that move. You're so much better off with trying to find value in between the margins, like going after, some of the players that are a little bit cheaper, like a Jerome Ford or Brian Robinson, guys like that can provide depth for your team versus going all the way up to the top and saying, I'm going to go get Austin Eckler. Guys like that, they're going to cost so much, for these players, even if they come off a bad week, like you often see those guys on like the buy low video. Like you're not buying those guys low because they had one down week. Like people aren't stupid. And so, like, I'm a much bigger fan of trying to, go a little lower. Like I said, Jerome Ford or Javante Williams and James Cook and like guys like that you can buy for cheap, but can provide, much better down
Michael Gill start Hurts or Tua.
the road. I'm going Hurts.
I would go Hurts as well. Closer than what it should be, though. And also, what do I do? Judy, drop him for Downs or Rice, or keep him and wait to see if he gets traded? I mean, if Downs and Rice are still out there, I would just hold on to Judy. I mean, I would like to get Rice on my team if possible. Is there anyone else you could potentially drop to pick up Rice? But I think right now I would hold on to Judy, but it's getting very close to drop time, depending on your league size. A P Rock with us made a massive trade today. Mostert and Nico for Cup and Gibbs. Thoughts?
As long as Cup stays healthy, this is a very good trade.
Yeah, for sure. I like the Cup side. Well done, AP. And then we need a flex here, Smith or Hollywood. I'm going to go Devonta.
He has to hit sometime, right?
I don't want to say it because I've been saying it for what feels like the past 3 weeks, but this is a fantastic spot to do so.
Yeah, I'm going to go Devonta.
TX, Javante or Ford in a half PPR.
I'm going to go Javante. Or, excuse me, I'm going to go Ford. Sorry. I have Ford at RB14. I have Javante at RB17.
I have them in similar spots, so I'm going to go Ford as well. Gino or Love?
It's going to be Gino.
Gino for me too. Will Hayes rocking with us. Need to start one. Available on my waiver wire is Antonio Gibson, Kenneth Gainwell, Eli Mitchell, Craig Reynolds. Who do I pick up in a PPR?
I think it's Antonio Gibson. I mean, because
I would pick up. Good.
No, I was just gonna say that he's pretty much locked in. Has this role locked in for the as the pass catching running back because I mean he's only playing 38% of the snaps, but he is seeing 41% of the routes on the season. It's 40. I mean this last week, but 49% of the routes with a 8% target share on the year and 13% target per route run rate. And he's had some useful weeks here and there. Like, he's only put up one top 24 week, but he does have, multiple top 36 weeks under his belt. So in PPR formats, like I think Antonio Gibson is not a bad option. I think if you're just looking for ceiling though, I mean, probably Elijah Mitchell would probably be the one that you'd want to look at. Like I'm to the point now, I just don't know if Kenneth Gainwell is actually any good. Like because he's had opportunities this year and he just hasn't looked great when given them. And so, like, yes, like if something were to happen to kids, but I'm also really curious, like the whole Rashad Penny thing. And happy, hopefully CHB's not in here because I'm sure his ears are perking up right now talking about Rashad Penny. But I also kind of wonder if they're like, are they holding him and waiting until like later in the year to kind of really utilize him? Like, because he's had so much injury concerns in his career and stuff like that. Because it was really weird that they brought him in. There was a lot of talk about Rashad Penny over the over the offseason, and then he pretty much just went and just haven't used them at all. And so, like, I do wonder about that, but I just don't know about Kenneth Gainwell. So to me, I think it's Antonio Gibson first, and then Elijah Mitchell second. But just know that Elijah Mitchell really doesn't hold a ton of value when unless Christian McCaffrey gets hurt. Though I could see a scenario where they don't want to continue to feed Christian McCaffrey at this high level and kind of keep him fresh for the playoffs. And so where Elijah Mitchell starts getting more work.
Yeah, for me, Will, I'd want to know if you'd be able to pick up both Eli and Craig Reynolds. If Craig Reynolds plays, I would lean toward him. But with the DNP, um, Eli would be a nice consolation prize. So if you're able to pick up both, I kind of want to hold because then you could potentially cut Craig Reynolds loose and then hold on to Eli Mitchell as a as a handcuff slash insurance type of back. So I would want to have both of those guys this week. Not good at fantasy. Would you start Rasheed Rice over Flowers, McLaurin, or Watson? I would still probably have all three of them ahead of Rasheed Rice, but I do think that this week is like the week for Rasheed Rice to like truly break out. But ranking them this week, I have all three ahead.
Agreed.
Best defense for this week: New Orleans, Tampa Bay, Jacksonville, the Raiders, or Cleveland.
It's Cleveland.
Cleveland for me as well. Notification gang. Bang, bang, baby. Appreciate you, Alexis. Thank you. Simpson. Is Smith and Pacheco overpaying for Tony Pollard?
I'm going to say yeah. And I say that because how good Isaiah Pacheco has been this year. He is a top 10 running back. And obviously I love Tony Pollard and I think better days are coming. And he finally had a, good game again this past week, largely because of that 60-yard run that he had that he almost found the end zone on. But so Tony Pollard, obviously somebody I love, and the usage there is fantastic. He hasn't been as efficient. Probably some of it's because of how much usage he is seeing. So it's kind of making him not as fresh, but it's just Devonta Smith and Pacheco. That's kind of a lot to be giving up for Tony Pollard.
I would want a like a little cherry on top for the Pollard side. Reynolds or Mitchell here for waivers?
Mitchell.
Curtis Samuel or Josh Palmer?
Joshua Palmer, especially with Quentin Johnson just being a ghost out there.
Yep. Curtis Samuel, I think we do have just outside of our top 36 this week, though. So Samuel's a solid option. You want to talk about someone that's a ghost or in a milk carton? Jahan Dotson would like to have a word to be featured on that milk carton as well. Super CNB Challengers, huge trade. What do we think? I give up AJ Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Drake London, and Jeff Wilson, and I get Hawkinson, JT, Olave, and Zay.
I think I'd want the AJ Brown side.
Yeah, I'd want the AJ Brown side as well.
I mean, it's not a bad trade. Like, obviously Olave can be a strong, kind of top 15-ish wide receiver. Zay Flowers is probably more in that 20-ish range. And then JT, obviously, I mean, he could finish as a top 5 running back rest of the season if he could, once he gets kind of acclimated and everything's right, probably the next week or so. Could end up being, like I said, a top 5 running back rest of the season. And Hawkinson, we know, is a top 3 tight end. It's just, man, AJ Brown, looks like
And
he's,
CD.
yeah, and CD Lamb and Drake London starting to show signs of life. Like the Jeff Wilson thing doesn't matter to me. Like, I don't think it's a bad trade. I just think I would lean a little bit more towards the AJ Brown side, though.
Yeah, I'd also be curious to know who you have left at receiver after trading Brown, CD, Drake. Obviously, you have Olave and Zay Flowers coming back, but to lose those three, curious if you have anyone else in the wings. TX, which two to bench? Ridley, Godwin, Kirk, Javante, or Michael Thomas, and Michael Thomas.
Mike Thomas is an easy one.
Yeah, Thomas and
I think Javante. I'm playing Ridley and Kirk. Like Godwin. So I have Godwin at wide receiver 21, and I have Javante at RB 17 or 18. So it's, I mean, with it being a half point PPR though, maybe I would lean towards playing Javante. It is a great matchup against Green Bay. Green Bay has really, really struggled to stop the run this year. The only thing that worries me with Javante is you just don't ever know exactly how that usage is going to play out. Is he going to see, more like last week? He only got 11 carries, but he 51 yards, despite how good he looked. The pass catching involvement is kind of up and down for him, and so that's why that Godwin I think is just a little bit more secure in a role versus Javante can kind of go all different directions.
I think it would be Thomas and Godwin for me. Is the way I would lean on that. Andrea, hello to you. Javante or Stevenson and a half PPR, Kev. Who do you got?
I'm gonna go Javante here.
Javante for me as well. Zane Baker or Jared Goff?
Jared Goff.
Gonna go Goff as well. Andrea needs one wide receiver and one flex between Olave, Smith, and Mostert. Oh boy.
I'm gonna go Olave, and I really want to say Devonta Smith, but I don't. I can't. The thing that worries me is Philadelphia has been excellent against the run this year. They are a top 3 run
That's
defense
all.
in the league, right? So I think Mostert's going to have to get there through the air if they're going to get there at all. This just isn't the best matchup for him, but it's also hard to deny how good he's been. So it really makes it really hard sitting him and how bad Devonta Smith has been for the most part. So obviously, I think Mostert's the safer of the two.
I think I'm with you. Gonna sit Smith. And this will be the week. Savage, should I pick up Miles or Roshan Johnson, who were dropped to my league for the future? Who do you want rest of the season, Kev?
I'm going to go Roshan. I think the Chuba Hubbard thing might be real. Like we saw him last week when he got the opportunity and he took off with it. And even before that, like we started to see a little bit of a trend of Chuba being more involved. Chuba Hubbard, I mean, his numbers this year have been really good. Like this isn't just kind of a fluky thing. He's top 20 in yards created per touch on the year, and 19th in true yards per carry. He has been involved in the passing game. I mean, he's been pretty solid this year, and so I think he's actually looked better than Miles Sanders has, and so that would concern me. But I mean, last week he had 90 total yards and a touchdown. Like I don't know. I think it's possible that Miles Sanders falls back into a little bit more of a secondary role to Chuba Hubbard. So I think it's Roshan.
Oh, I would lean Roshan only because the injuries are starting to worry me for Miles Sanders. Like I think Roshan also has Khalil Herbert to deal with. He's like I think that could potentially be a split as well. But with Sanders banged up with the shoulder, he was obviously dealing with the groin in the preseason. And we've seen him pop up on the injury report already with that groin injury. I think I would lean Roshan, but I'm assuming if they were both dropped, we're talking about like a smaller league here, right? So there's also a chance you can just pick up Miles down the road as well. Caden, the Colts fan, just traded CD for Evans and Gibbs. Was that a dub or an L? I think you took on the risk here. Like if Gibbs can be what we thought coming into the year that he could be, this will be a dub for you. If things continue the way they have, and like Baker Mayfield has not been good this year. I mean, I think he's done a little bit better than what most were expecting, but that offense is one of the worst offenses in the league. So Evans can still get his, but I think you took the risk on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I
I
definitely
don't hate
agree.
it, but this is one of the wait and see type of trades. So sorry to give you a non-answer answer, Caden.
Yeah, I think there's I think there's a real strong possibility we don't see David Montgomery until week 10. And so it's going to really depend on how this plays out because the Lions have a week 9 bye, and so with him already missing week 7, like I think it's better chance than not with his rib cartilage injury that he's going to miss week 8 as well. And then obviously you're on bye, let him hold him out throughout the bye, then you get him back week 10, in a much better shape. So I think that's the real scenario here. It's just this feels so much like DeAndre Swift, doesn't it? Like he feels so DeAndre Swift at this point that they're just never going to commit to him in that way. We kept hoping they would, like the Eagles have done this year with DeAndre Swift, and how well DeAndre Swift has responded to it. But I don't know, and Mike Evans scares the hell out of me because Baker Mayfield's been fine. I think he's actually been. I mean, like what I was expecting, I think he's actually been better because than what I was expecting from him. But um, it's still like CeeDee Lamb. You just know what you're getting, right? Like you have a top 7, 8 wide receiver rest of season where Mike Evans is going to be up or down, and I still think Mike Evans is more in that wide receiver 2 range, and Gibbs could end up being this low end wide RB2, high end RB3, for a lot of these weeks with David Montgomery seeing so much of the work once he comes back. So I don't hate it. It could pay off for you big, but it could also be one that you kind of regret.
Curtis Samuel, Deontay Johnson, or Palmer in the flex in a PPR for Will. This is going to be Paul. I'm still going to go Palmer here. Will, I don't want to throw Deontay right into the mix week 1.
Well, I'm going to help you here on this one, Will, because I'm going to go Deontay.
I don't mind Deontay. They are close for me in my ranks. I think I have them maybe like 2 or 3 spots apart. So Curtis Samuel will be the lowest of them. I'm fine with Deontay Johnson also. I would just play it a little bit safer, see what he does week 1 in his return. But I think they're both good plays. Jorge, trade question. Cup and Andrews for Herbert, Olave, and Brees Hall. Really hurting at QB. Thank you.
Really curious who this other person has to be able to trade Justin Herbert,
Yeah.
But you have to have somebody, feel really solid about to be able to trade him. Because Herbert has actually, for fantasy purposes, been really good this year. But I think I would do it. I think this is a bet that Brees Hall can be a top 5 running back rest of season. And with the way that the running back position has been such a dumpster fire, you're almost getting a positional edge by having somebody that can do that because the running back position has just been so bad this year. And Brees Hall has really he's now the man in that backfield. And I like also that you're getting the buy out of the way with him too. So if you're going to make the trade, I would try to like hold off on it and then wait until like Friday or something like that. So the rest you can just hold the rest of your players and play them like normal and not have to worry about losing the Brees Hall bye week if you could make that happen. But then again, you may need Justin Herbert for this week, so maybe you need to make it. But I don't know who I guess the other question would be though, Jorge, who do you have at quarterback right now? Like I know you said you're really hurting at QB, but who's out there? And also one that I could actually bring up now is Kyler Murray sitting out there? Because if Kyler Murray's sitting out there, he was designated to return today, and he's widely available. He was only rostered in like 13% of ESPN leagues. So if he's sitting out there, I am running to the waiver wire and then not making a trade and then putting him because I think next week he very well could be back because he's getting full go, and is what they said today. But I don't think they're definitely not gonna rush him back for this week. But I think they probably let him go through this week, and then he's probably back. So if something like and Kyler Murray has been, I mean, for fantasy purposes, has been a top 5, top 6 quarterback every single year.
Yeah. Yep. TX, which two between Elijah Moore, Warren, Mason, and Gus Bus? I was laughing to myself earlier because when I first read this, whenever you were going through your answer for Jorge, I just read that as Warren Moon. It's like, wait, why are we talking about Warren Moon?
He was awesome back in the day.
Dude, those Oiler jerseys were one of my favorites.
Yeah, they were nice.
Here though,
I'm gonna go. So I'm playing Jaylen Warren. Jaylen Warren has been consistent as they come with providing usable fantasy production. Assuming we're talking about a PPR format here, he has been He's been a top 30 running back every single week of the season except for week 1 against San Francisco. Other than that, he finishes RB 20, 29, 18, and 25. So he's had at least 8 or more fantasy points every single week in PPR formats. So I'm playing Jaylen Warren of this group. And then if we get indication by Saturday that Christian McCaffrey is going to miss, then I would go Jordan Mason. If he's not, and we think that Christian McCaffrey is going to play, I'm just going to go with probably Elijah Moore.
Yeah, that's how I have it. Jacob Danner, 14-man league, half PPR, sitting at 4-2. Nice job. Wide receiver, Amon-Ra, Watson, Wilson, Sky, and Downs was offered JJ and Jameson for Amon-Ra. I would not want to do that. Because if Jefferson misses like 6 weeks instead of 4, like you're sitting at 4-2 now, but if you lose Amon-Ra, like Williams is he's the definition of boom bust, right? So now all of a sudden you're sitting there with Watson, Wilson, Sky Moore is almost a nothing at this point, and Josh Downs. Like you are really thin at wide receivers. So I mean, I don't mind the idea of going out and getting somebody like Justin Jefferson, obviously, but like I said, if that hamstring injury extends to 6 weeks instead of 4, or if the Vikings are just out of it, does JJ come back at all? Those are the questions I'd be asking myself, and I would just not be able to do that with that team, and especially in a 14-team league.
Yeah, because you become extremely thin at wide receiver. Like Sky Moore is a drop. Like you don't even roster Sky Moore anymore. Like he's clearly not going to be a thing. And now they added McCole Hardman, though it could help Sky Moore because what they're asking Sky Moore to do right now isn't his strong suit, and it's not something he's good at. And I think this actually helps them. It kind of frees up a lot of their wide receivers because they're asking a lot of these guys to do things that they don't have this speed guy like McCole Hardman, who they just acquired back today. And so McCole Hardman comes back and he's going to play that role of stretching the field and also just kind of being that jet sweep guy who they utilize him a ton with. And I think it opens up some other players to do some different things. But you don't need all roster Skyward. But yeah, I agree. there's so much uncertainty with Justin Jefferson that I don't want to make that move. And then all of a sudden, maybe if you were like 6-0, something like that, and you felt really solid, because at that point you're pretty much almost locked in to making the playoffs. You just really have to win a couple more weeks, and you're in the playoffs at that point. And then the possibility of getting Justin Jefferson, but it's also you're giving up Amon-Ra St. Brown, who can put up really really comparable numbers, right? But you're also losing that production for all of those weeks. So I'm not making that move.
Just want to say, Twitch, we see you. We're just we do these in order of what we get them, and in true TFA fashion, we are quite behind. So just want to let you know we do see them. I know we get questions sometimes asking if we answer Twitch questions. We do. Just loaded with YouTube folks right now. Do we think Gibbs plays? I think he does. He got into limited practice today. I think he comes back this week. What his role is, how many touches he sees, I think is still up in the air, but on a week like this where we have 6 teams on bye, injuries, you're likely starting him if you have him. Impossible. Need to drop someone to add defense and kicker. Got Bijan, Herbert, Pacheco, B-Rob, Amon-Ra, KJ Osborne, Godwin, Dow, Collins, McLaughlin, Zach Evans, Higgins, Lockett, Waller, and Aubrey.
I'm going to drop the kicker.
Yeah, I know Aubrey has been, I think he's like kicker 3, kicker 2 on the season. And why can't I think of who Collins is? Why am I?
Nico?
Oh, duh. So used to seeing Nico. Do we have another? Yeah, it's gonna be Aubrey.
Yeah, I think you drop him. There's just not a huge advantage to holding a kicker like that. You look at right now, for example, Aubrey is averaging 10.8 fantasy points per game. And if you want to go down to just the difference in those right now, you could drop all the way down to the kicker 18 and get the same value, or less than 1 point per game difference. It's just not an advantage to own one of these guys right now, honestly. And
And
so
if Dallas gets their red zone offense, which I think is like one of the worst right now in the league, like if that changes, that obviously drops Aubrey's fantasy relevance a little bit there as well. So I'd probably go Aubrey and probably Zach Evans. It'd be Evans or McLaughlin.
I think I would drop. I think you could drop KJ Osborne too if you really wanted to. If you felt some way about Zach Evans, and because like with the wide receivers you have Tank Dell. I'm assuming you also have Nico. Then you also have Higgins and Lockett, Amon-Ra St. Brown. So it's like, when are you ever actually going to play KJ Osborne with all those wide receivers? Running back, you pretty much have Pacheco, and then Brian Robinson is your RB2, and then you have McLaughlin,
Bijan.
Zach Evans, and Bijan. Yeah.
So I think with something else you could consider as well, impossible is,
Was that Bijan or is that Brian Robinson?
well, Bijan's first. So he listed Bijan and then went Justin Herbert and then back to, unless that's Khalil Herbert. If you go to the beginning.
So, Bijan. Okay, I see it
Yeah.
now in the first part. I just completely, because the way he was listening, I didn't even look that far.
Yeah.
With
people also in need of running back help, maybe you could pair Evans with Adele or a KJ Osborne, drop Aubrey, and then that way you can kind of do like a little 2-for-1, free up a roster space that way, so you don't just have to outright drop these guys. So that's probably what I would try to do first. Is I would try and package Evans with one of your other like bench wide receivers. Just get whatever you can out of there. It's a little bit of an upgrade. drop Aubrey and do it that way. In a standard, Warren or Roshan? If Roshan plays, I'm going Roshan. If not, it's going to be Warren. That one might be decided for you there, James. There he is.
Roman Reigns is in the house.
Acknowledge me. Love it. I guess who to start here. Impossible threw that on at the end of this one. So Bijan, Pacheco, Amon-Ra, Godwin. I mean, if you need 3 wide receivers, KJ Osborne is going to be. Oh wait, never mind. If you need 3, it would be Amon-Ra, Lockett, Godwin. Then obviously your quarterback is set for you. Which defense? Raiders, Ravens, Rams, Jags.
I'm going Raiders here.
Yeah, I would go Raiders as well. CHB has 2 questions here. Which 3 wide receivers to start? DK, Watson, Pickens, Keenan Allen, or Puka? I am sitting. Oh wait, yeah, I'm going to sit Pickens and Watson with DK, Keenan, and Puka for me. Kev, I think your rankings are the same there. And then would you drop Elijah Moore for Michael Mayer with Kelsey's bye week coming up? I typically don't like carrying 2 tight ends, but like I think this is a move you could make. Because I think Mayer and his fantasy value is going to go up over the coming weeks. Basically saw him take over as the full-time tight end in this last game. So I think you could, as long as Elijah Moore is your wide receiver, 5.
Yeah, I mean, it's I wouldn't say it's week 10 is his bye week. So, I mean, you still have quite a bit of time until that comes. I mean, but yeah, I mean, if you needed to, yeah, I think it's fine.
Jose, would you trade Hall for Devonta and 2? I have Fields, Saquon, ETN, Cup, Olave, Goddard, JT on the bench is Hall, Monty, Chase, London, Watson, Pitts. Try to give him London, Watson. I think Hall is too much.
It is. I don't like trading for I don't like trading for running or for quarterbacks at all. Like I just hate it. I just think there's usually enough out there, especially as we start navigating our way through bye weeks, that more quarterbacks are going to start to get dropped. People just aren't going to feel the need to hold them anymore. But like I've said, if I need a quarterback, the best thing you can do is run out and grab Kyler Murray if he's sitting out there, because he's an instant top 10 quarterback once he comes back. And I'm actually shocked that they're bringing him back. Like, I did not see this coming. A lot of the speculation was that they weren't going to bring him back, that he was going to, because, if he gets hurt and he can't pass a physical in March, that his contract becomes fully guaranteed. And there's been a lot of speculation they were going to move on from him. So I was shocked that they designated him for
I can't believe it.
And also they're not going anywhere this year. So it doesn't make any sense to me that because Kyler Murray is an upgrade over Joshua Dobbs. That's not even an argument. But you're just lessening your draft pick that you're getting, right? The possibility of you being able to get, because the Texans it is the other first round pick that they have, and obviously the Texans continue to play pretty well. And so you could have a scenario where both these picks are outside of the top 10, and is even worth it. Even if you weren't going to move on from him, I still would want to just kind of tank this year and get the highest draft capital you could get. To be able to maybe if you trade off that pick to get more acquisition, to get more draft capital, more picks out of it, I don't know, but this is what they're going to do. It's what they're going to do. So if he's going to play, then Kyler Murray, I'm looking at him everywhere I can if I need a quarterback.
Not available for Jose, by the way.
Okay. Well, I just thought I'd throw it out there. So I still like, who are the guys that are on waivers? Like, who's sitting out there? Is there anybody of value? Because I just hate trading, because I'm not
Especially
trading
at
Brees
running
Hall.
back this year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not trading Brees Hall. I know I know you still have Saquon and ETN and JT. I don't know. Now I'm looking at that. Like, I don't know. Maybe you could. Like, because like you still have 3 elite running backs.
And then Cup, Olave, Chase.
Would you rather do JT instead of Brees Hall and then just take out Devonta?
Golly.
Like, who would you rather have rest of season, Brees Hall or Jonathan Taylor?
JT by a smidge.
I think it'd be Brees Hall for me. But yeah,
It's really close. I mean, maybe you
like I
could
said, I
like
just hate
instead of making a big trade like that, maybe try and flip one of those tight ends. Because Pitts has actually put up a couple useful weeks here in back-to-back weeks. So maybe you could flip one of them and just do something smaller instead of going after Tua. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure Kirk Cousins is someone that is you could easily get for someone like that, one of your bench players versus Goff. Make a smaller trade versus doing that. I mean, you obviously have the depth to be able to do it. So if you want to go big game hunting, that's fine. I'm with Kev. I prefer to make smaller trades, but if Tua is your guy,
trade Monty.
go get him.
Because I mean, Monty's not on IR right now, so it's not like it'd be different if he was. But since he's not, then like I think it might be easier to flip. Maybe you just do like for a lesser quarterback, obviously, like do Monty for a kind of like we mentioned, whether it's a Goff or somebody like that.
Another drop Judy question: hold him or drop him for someone like Deonta Foreman?
I'm not picking up Deonta Foreman, so like I would just hold on to Judy.
Yeah. What about the Chicago Bears defense this week? Red Wolf, I would think that you would have a better option sitting out there. I did not do the defensive stream video this week, so those options are eluding me at the moment.
I think Seattle. I think Chicago. It's just not something I really want to do. Like they're pretty low on the options that you could look at. Like I think Seattle would be way up there for me. They're a top 7 defense for me this week. If the Bucks are sitting out there, the Packers, even the Giants, the Rams, like I would rather have all those defenses over the Bears.
Yeah. One more thing, do you start stashing Mason? Do you text stashing both Mason and Elijah Mitchell? Basically, would you or would you not stash both? I mean,
so we're getting to that point where you should definitely be like, this is the time to start really stashing away those handcuffs. Like, I don't like doing it earlier in the year, but as we get closer to the fantasy playoff, especially like once November hits, like I think that is when you can absolutely start stashing. Like, we should really start looking to stash some of these guys. And as we've seen right now, the fantasy gods keep taking away all these running backs. Like, just hide your running backs right now, and you just pray every single week that you're not one of the next victims to lose one of your running backs, because it's been pretty brutal. I mean, not that we've seen like season-ending stuff, but just been a lot of players getting knocked out for multiple weeks, and so, yeah. I mean, if you have the space to do it, yeah, I think you could do that, Jordan. Just understand that it's a short-term thing, but yes.
It also would depend to me on what other handcuffs are out there. Like if there's another valuable handcuff, I wouldn't want to plug up both. I would pick one. I lean Elijah Mitchell. But either way, like depending on what other options are out there, if there aren't great options and you can stash both, that's fine as well. Speaking of the Niners, we got Brew Neal rocking with us. What's up, guys? Pick one at wide receiver, two, one at flex, full PPR, Downs, Rice, JSN, Wilson, and Patty Fry. Have Higginsdale and Spears on bye.
I'm going Rice and
Go
Downs.
Rice and Downs.
Yep.
Jay, thank you for the answer to previous questions. Subbed and liked. Appreciate you. When should I trade Mostert also for who?
I mean, I think you can trade him now. Honestly, I mean, it's all relative to what you could actually get for him. Like, I'm not trading him for like just for anything. Like, it's not a desperation sell. But if you could trade Raheem Mostert for like a Brees Hall, I'm doing it all day. Um, like because I do think eventually this production is going to come to an end. A Chain's going to come back at some point. Jeff Wilson is now healthy and he's entering the fold, and so and Mostert definitely has not been a model citizen of health himself. Like he is somebody that's dealt with a ton of injuries. He's 30 plus years old. And so, like, yes, if you can move on, because it won't take much. Like, you have to remember just a couple, like when A Chain was starting to go off and Mostert, while he was still fine, like his value tanked quite a bit in that short period of time. And now it went back up once A Chain, went out with an injury. But like, there's no better time than now to sell him with as well as he's playing. Like I think you could get quite a bit for Raheem Mostert, and so if you're looking for for an upgrade, I definitely think this would be the time. And like I said, like it's hard to say for who without knowing exactly what your team looks like. Like, do you need running backs, or are you solid at the rest of your running backs? Because you have to remember Raheem Mostert was a guy you probably drafted with a late round pick, or maybe even you picked up off waivers before the season started. Like so, like the opportunity cost that you spent for him is fantastic, and you sound like somebody that you would have been waiting on to be that guy. So that's the way I would look at it. So if you can let us know, like, what does your team look like? It'd be a lot easier to answer that question.
Yeah, but either way, if you are trading away Mostert, you better be getting top notch return because he has been fantastic, and it obviously hasn't been a fluke through the first couple of weeks. The only thing you worry about is health. Honestly, that's the like I think it is sustainable with how well that offense is playing. But if you trade him, you better get it back. Gurus, maybe like a Calvin Ridley for James Cook. Do I just work with my depth and start Rashad? Team is Mahomes, McCaffrey, Rashad, Keenan, Olave, Laporta, Ridley, Zach Moss, Kittle, and Roshan on the bench. I mean, I know Ridley has been really up and down, but so has James Cook. I mean, obviously Cook is an upgrade over Rashad White, who's just been completely dreadful. I mean, maybe you can try and do something where you're sending Zach Moss to whoever owns JT just as an insurance policy. Maybe you could do something like that. I feel like I'd want to try and get like a couple. Like you're not going to be able to get too much higher than James Cook, but I'd want to see if I could get like another like half a tier up from Cook. But I would rather do something like that than sending away the production that Keenan Allen is giving to your team. Start to sit here for Jose, Phil, Saquon, ETN, Cup, Olave, Connor, JT, and then we went through the bench guys already. So running backs are obviously staying as is. I think I would keep it as you have it, Jose.
I think
Especially
I would.
if
I'm fine with if you wanted to swap out JT and go to like a London or Christian. I'm assuming that's Christian Watson. So I'm fine with doing that.
oh yeah, I would do that. I would switch JT for London. Good call. Glad you called that out. Does Gibson pique your interest any more than Foreman for dropping Judy?
Yeah, I'm still holding on to Jerry Judy there in this scenario.
First one over on Twitch, Larry Bands. Better to flex this week, Ridley or Addison?
I'm gonna go Ridley.
This is where we're at. I'm gonna go Ridley as well, but I get why that's a question. Sport Dog 1000, 8-team 6-point. Assuming that 6-point touchdown, full PPR, 2 wide receivers, 2 flex. I will use a Monroe. Here's my other wide receivers. I need 3 total between Palmer, Davis, Watson, Romeo Dawes. Picked up Rashee Rice. Palmer, Watson, and Rice for me.
Yep.
And boom goes the dynamite. Shelton, standard, Rice or Pickens? This is Rice for me. It's happening, Kev.
I'm gonna go Pickens.
Coward. What a coward. Sorry, I couldn't help you out on that one. Shelton, last one here from Jacob. Ford and Wilson for JT and Judy. So it looks like we have a couple here. So Ford and Wilson for JT and Judy. Mostert and Wilson for Bijan and Judy, or neither.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't do or I don't know. It's such a gamble with Mostert, right? Because like if you like if you would have asked me before the season, would we be having a conversation that was Raheem Mostert and Garrett Wilson for Bijan Robinson? And I'd be like, I don't know. Like this is where we're at this season, you know? I think if I was going to do it, it would be the Ford and Garrett Wilson side. I think is what I would like. I
Yeah.
don't want Judy. Like, does it have to be Judy that's included in this? Is he like twisting your arm? Like, you're gonna fucking take Jerry Judy in this trade. I don't care what you say. Like, you're getting this guy off my team because like I don't want Jerry Judy if I don't need to have him. But like, would you do Ford and Garrett Wilson for JT straight up? Or do you think that's too much?
I would still want something. I would still want something back. But I'm with you. If I was gonna do it, it would be the first one.
Yeah, I mean Judy's fine, and I think there's going to be some better days ahead for him. But I don't know. It's just he's been better offense.
Like, I think it's more likely that Judy's situation improves before Garrett Wilson's, right?
You shut your mouth.
RGQ.
Aaron Rodgers is on his way back. Okay, he'll be back soon.
He was standing on the field.
He's not using crutches anymore. He's going to start jogging here like in the next couple of weeks.
RGQ start 2.5 PPR. Samuel, Palmer, Reynolds, Evans, Bourne, Warren, Foreman, Shaheed, Rushy, Hardman Jr. Desperate. I have CD Del Monte out. Any others that may be available. And it's going to be Palmer and Rashee Rice.
This is a man. How many bench bots do you got? Like this is a monster.
Assuming some of these are on waivers.
Oh, maybe that's the case. Man, this is yeah.
Palmer and Rice for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Connor, CeeDee Lamb and Ramondre or ETN, full PPR.
CeeDee Lamb side. That's more or less a bet that I think that Ramondre is going to continue to play. I mean, he played better this past week.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be. I thought he was going to be out for the rest of that game after he fell and hit his head off the turf, and then he ended up coming back.
But man,
Um,
ETN has been incredible.
yeah,
I think this would be more of a question, actually, like who you actually had. Like if I had ETN and somebody offered that, I think I would still be hesitant to do it because Travis Etienne has been incredible. Well, an
very
80%
good.
opportunity share. He's heavily involved in the passing game. And so, like, if I had ETN, it would be very hard pressed for me to do it. But at the flip side, if it's just I still I
Connor,
don't know.
Connor, if you're still rocking with us, let us know your full roster. That would help out in this one because I think this one could be very team dependent. Because if you're trading away CD, but you have like let's say you have Amon Ra, Puka, you're stacked at wide receiver. I could see doing it if RB is your weak spot. So this one is very team dependent for me. If you're still rocking with us, let us know. I'm just now realizing that we are 40 minutes behind. So trying to do a little speed round here, Kev. We are also getting buried in the chat. So Nicholas, Javante, or Shaheed for my flex. This one would also be team dependent. If you need to swing for the upside, I would go Shaheed, but Javante in a vacuum would be my answer.
Absolutely.
Zarvon, drop DJ Moore for Rasheed Rice.
No.
I would not do that, but I do want to pick up Rice, Zar. So if you're still rocking with us and you have other options, let us know. Is Rams DST a good streaming option this week?
Top 10 option.
Are Rashad Bateman chances over?
Yep. He is dead.
Yeah, that's so sad, dude. I loved Bateman coming out. Bateman and Tyler Johnson at Minnesota. What a tandem. And now they're both dust. War Eagle. Should I start the Seahawks or Browns defense this week? It's going to be Browns for me.
Yep.
Reynolds or Puka. That is going to be Puka.
Yeah.
Hurt Trevor or Ritter.
I mean, if Lawrence plays, I'm going to go with Lawrence.
Yeah. I can't. Ritter's done back-to-back 300-yard games. He literally just had his first one 2 weeks ago. I can't imagine that trend continues. Joe, non-PPR pick 2: Wilson, Johnson, Hunt, Mitchell.
If Roshan gets cleared, I'm gonna go Roshan for sure, and then I'm gonna go Kareem Hunt.
Hopefully, we get some sort of indication for McCaffrey, right? If Roshan doesn't play, I would just play Hunt and then wait to see since you have Mitchell, and then just play. Yeah, I mean, if McCaffrey plays, you're obviously plugging him in. If not, you have Mitchell to plug in there. I'm going to go Saints D on this one. I would have it in the order that I would have them ranked in the order that you have them listed out here for you.
I'm gonna go Raiders. I mean, I have the Raiders. Let me put it this way: I have the Raiders as a top 5 defense this week. So
Well, good for you for ranking defenses, Kev. Where do you have Latavius Murray ranked, Kev?
he's a top 36 back. I mean, hate to see what happened with Damian Harris. Hopefully, he's good. He's good, but it just kind of opens everything up for him, and so uh, there's some hesitancy with James Cook. His usage is kind of been all over the place a little bit. Latavius Murray is going to get work. He's going to get goal line work, and now Damian Harris gone, it kind of just opens things up a little bit, and so. I mean, I think he's fine in the context of that. We have 6 teams on bye with all these injuries, so he kind of becomes somebody that you can look at. But I have him at RB30. So
T-Law or Love for Joe?
I'm gonna go with Jordan Love, and I'm gonna regret it probably, but I'm gonna go with Jordan Love.
I will go T-Law on. Oh God, Broncos have been so bad, unless they're playing the Chiefs. Actually, now, so you're not alone in that boat, Kev. I'm gonna go Jordan Love with you. I'll go down. I'll go down with the ship with you. Jay Coop need a flex this week after Kyron went down. Ramondre, Gabe Davis, Rashad White, Josh Palmer.
Ramondre
for me. Evans or DJ Moore rest of the season. For Officer Nasty.
If I knew that Justin Fields was going to be fine, it would be DJ Moore. But I think you got to go Mike Evans.
Yeah. Chuba Hubbard got the Canadian blood in him. We don't claim Chase Claypool. Don't claim Chase Claypool. You can't have it both ways, Ashton.
What was his nickname? Was it the Maple Megatron or what was it?
Mapletron.
Mapletron. That's right.
Yeah. What a joke that was. God, that pissed me off. Best defense to stream this week: Rams, Seattle, Tampa Bay, Washington, Baltimore, Indy.
Seattle. It would be Seattle followed by. Oh, where did I just have that? There it is. It would be Seattle. Do they have Tampa Bay on there? I'm not looking. I'm trying. I got
Tampa. Yeah, Rams, Seattle, Tampa Bay, Washington, Baltimore, Indy.
Washington. Okay, so I would actually have Washington. So it'd be Washington. I didn't see that. So yes, I would have Washington above. It would go Washington, Seattle, Tampa Bay for me.
Bo Pucks over on Twitch. Trade away Kirk and Roshan to get Puka for sure, right? Yes.
Yep.
Absolutely. Should I start Hollywood, London, or Amari Cooper? Interesting trio of receivers. Deshaun Watson
Marquise.
did not
this is Hollywood for me.
Again.
Hollywood.
I'm going to go London on that one. Sorry, we weren't able to help you out with that one. Zisk, the Greek Frex, MT and Howell for London PPR, or Kyler for Pickens. So if these are separate, I want London, and if you can afford to give away Pickens, the Kyler side. If this is just one, and assuming you need a quarterback, I would take the Kyler side.
Yep, I agree.
Rest of season here for not good at fantasy: Olave, Puka, Ayuk.
Might be a little surprising, but I'm going to go with Ayuk, Olave, Puka.
Puka, God, just choked on air. Puka, Olave, Ayuk.
I think it is concerning. If Cooper Kupp can continue to stay healthy, I think that Puka is going to be on the. He's not going to see the ridiculous volume, obviously, that he was seeing before because of how much Cooper Kupp's going to be involved. I think it makes Puka more of a wide receiver 2. Not that it's like, I'm not saying that he's going to fall off or he's done or anything like that, but I do think that he falls down into the wide receiver 2 conversation where Ayuk he's been arguably a wide receiver 1 this year, and then Olave it just doesn't have anything in front of him to steal targets away. So path to targets is much clearer for Olave than it is for Puka. But obviously with Cooper Kupp, I mean, he could get hurt anytime too. So it's close.
Lizaraga. Carr, Barkley, Ingram, Puka, Kupp, Waller, Hollywood. Who can I trade and who can I try to get? Bench is a little weak. I mean, I think really your only option here is Puka. Right? Like, you're not getting much for Waller. You're not gonna get much for Hollywood. Ingram's getting you nothing. If you trade Barkley, then it seems like you are going to be weak at running back. Carr's not going to fetch you much. So I really think the only option here is to trade Puka and do a 2-for-1.
Yeah.
Kanoa. Good to see you with us. Aloha to you as well. Drop one, London or Deontay?
Oh Lord.
Man, like if I'm dropping one right now, it's going to be Deontay, just because of the value, right? Like if I mean, maybe you can try if you need that roster space, Kanoa. Try and pair London with someone. Like we were talking about earlier, if you were with us, to try and create a roster space that way, so you're not straight up dropping one of these guys. But if you're dropping one right now and you had to, it's going to be Deontay for me. Kevin Gutierrez got offered JT, DK, and B Rob for JJ and Pacheco. Ooh, interessante.
So you're getting the JT side. See, here's the thing. I don't want to get rid of Pacheco. Like, I am not in the business of wanting to trade. I know you're getting a running back in return, JT. So I get that. Like, I guess, yeah. I mean, I don't know. It just I would almost rather see if I could keep Pacheco, because I mean DK is fine one way or the other. I mean, it's Brian Robinson is just he's a banger. Who first and second down banger. Now I will say he's been utilized more in the passing game as of recently, so maybe that's a trend that could continue to happen, which would then boost his value more. But I would maybe see if you could just trade like Justin Jefferson for JT and like Brian Robinson and remove DK and remove Checo. Something like that. But I see why they're trying to include Checo, because they're giving up two running backs to be able to supplement that. But I don't know. I mean, if I had to, ultimately, I think I would make the trade, because I just don't know what's going to happen with Justin Jefferson. And depending on where your state of your team is, like, you can't wait that long to find out. With him, it would be different if we were a couple weeks further down the line and we knew that he was going to be back in the next couple of weeks. But I don't know. Like, it makes me nervous that either one, he's back in a couple of weeks, and then you end up instantly regretting it by moving him because of how, so I don't know.
If you can take on the risk of Justin Jefferson, I do like that side here. But
I think that's
that
his
is
side, right?
super.
Because he got offered JT, DK, and Brian Robinson for his JJ.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you need the points now, like if you're, let's say sitting, one or two wins, I would make the trade. But if you're sitting pretty and you're okay, I think I would hold. Isaac, no, it's bad. Need to flex between Reynolds, Slayton, Reed, or Mims. This is going to be between Reynolds and Reed for me. If Reynolds plays, I'm going to play him. If not, I would just pivot to Reed.
Yeah.
Noel, Dak or Stroud rest of season. I have Phil's going to need a QB going forward if he's out for a while, starting Geno this week. I would just keep. I would just keep Geno.
Well, I mean, I think Dak would be the answer.
Yeah. We drop Algier or Elijah Moore for Judy.
We've had a lot of the other side of that.
Yeah. I would drop Elijah Moore.
Yeah.
For Judy. J20. What's up, fellas? 2 in a standard. Ford, Madison, Evans, or Roshan.
Ford and Mike Evans.
Michael. Mark, who should I start in a flex? Sutton or Craig Reynolds?
If Reynolds
Reynolds
plays,
if he plays.
Yeah.
Start 2, Jacoby, Palmer, Deontay. I think we're split on this one, Kev. I think you're going to go Jacoby and Deontay, right?
Correct.
And I will go Jacoby and Palmer. Again, I'm just much more conservative when it comes to guys coming off of injuries. So I would lean. And I would also want Justin Herbert throwing my guy the ball versus Kenny Pickett. It just sucks. We start T-Law over Purdy and Howell. I have T-Law, not 100%. So let's start there.
I would not. I would play Purdy and Howe.
Yeah. And then would you bench Ridley for Watson or Addison? I would also not do that. I would go Ridley. Teabag. Evans or McLaughlin or Mason this week.
I'm gonna go with Jaleel. I mean, we know what he is, right? And it's the same thing. Like, yep, it could be wrong, and maybe it is Zach Evans' backfield, right? Maybe he, because we know Sean McVay loves his workhorse back, and like he tends to just ride one guy. Problem is, we have no clue right now who that guy is, and the fact that they made all these moves and added Myles Gaskin and brought Darrell Henderson back, and they still have Royce Freeman, and really they had no other option last week other than because it was pointed out, well, Zach Evans got the first touch. Well, he was the only guy they had because Royce Freeman was a healthy scratch on the so he was not available. He was literally the only guy they could have went to last week once both of those guys went down. And so I think it's concerning to me that Zach Evans has not gotten a single opportunity all year to do anything. Whenever Ronnie Rivers, he couldn't beat out. Ronnie fucking Rivers, he couldn't beat out. And so that worries me with Zach Evans. And so would it shock me though if they did ride him and he ends up being fantasy relevant? No, but it just worries me that I just don't want to put my eggs in that basket. I want to wait and see on how this is going to play out this week. But I think McLaughlin just makes the most sense.
Yeah, we're not going to be help here. I think out of this group, if CMC doesn't play, I would throw Mason in because I don't think Elijah Mitchell. I think they end up splitting work, and I'd rather be attached to that San Fran running offense. If we get the indication that CMC is going to try or he's going to be a game time decision, I would go Zach Evans and just hope that we're not getting smoke blown up our ass about Evans leading this backfield. Trung, Brock, or Deshaun Watson. If he plays, I'm going to go Brock there regardless.
Yeah.
King Hill, trade Devonta Smith and Stevenson for DK, JT, and Judy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, give me the DK side. Savvy, sit one in a PPR. I'm assuming it's going to be Michael Thomas for both of us.
Yep.
We'll show this one quick, and then we will move on. Adam Weber.
No big win this week, baby.
Musgrave or Mayer this week and rest of the season. It's going to be Musgrave this week, but I would make the case for Mayer rest of season.
Yeah.
Holding 3 QBs despite me. Death squad. That's always the best feeling. I remember a couple years ago doing a redraft with a bunch of my buddies from high school in my hometown. And one guy literally took a quarterback ahead of me because I didn't have one yet. And it was like 15th round. And he was just like, yeah, who are you going to start now? And I picked up Lamar Jackson his rookie year and just crushed. And then
this year has actually been a really good year to actually do late round quarterback. Like if you would have done a late round quarterback this year, I think it paid off big time because the top guys have really not paid off. Like Mahomes has been fine at best, right? And then Josh Allen has kind of been the same, and Jalen Hurts has been good, not great. Like they haven't been these elite difference makers like they were last year. And so it was kind of interesting because like it felt like late round quarterback was dead, and then now it's certainly not.
Yeah. So it looks like Jose has some options here. Geno, Love, CJ Stroud, and Howell all available. So I would pick up Geno for this week, Jose. I can't believe those guys are out there and Kyler Murray has. Well, I guess I don't know if he's been rostered this whole time or picked up, but
yeah, he may have just been picked up today. Someone might have saw the news and picked him up. But yeah, I mean, rest of season it'd probably be CJ Stroud, but since Stroud's on bye, I would go with Geno.
Phew. Thought it was good rest of the season, but no, I need help again. Have Connor, Kyron, Montgomery, Cook, Javante, Jeff Wilson, 5-1 and a 10-man. Roshan on waivers.
Ouch. Talk about getting hit, slammed with the injuries with Connor, Kyron, and Montgomery.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would drop Jeff Wilson for Roshan.
Oh.
I'm just a big believer in Roshan Johnson's talent, and I know he's still dealing with his concussion. You have to believe he's going to be back sooner rather than later, and it very well could be this weekend. But once he does, like I think that he is going to go off, and I think he's going to be that rookie running back that has a big second half of the season. So that's why I really am trying to hold on to him. And Jeff Wilson, I just don't know what he's going to provide outside of some injuries happening. With Mostert, like I think maybe they split touches. He's going to have some usable weeks, but I just would rather have Roshan. I'm guessing this is going to be a good question for you. Dynasty trade forward for Mostert. Whether running backs for Montgomery, A-Chain, Ramondre, McKinnon, or P Ryan.
There we go. I want Mostert if you are a contender. Obviously, doubling down with A-Chan, but if you're a contender, I want Mostert.
I bet you Royce Freeman has more points than Evans.
Well within the range. Absolutely.
I don't know if I would bet it would be Freeman. My bet would probably be either on Henderson or Myles Gaskin, but I can't believe Royce Freeman's even still in the league, to be honest with you. But
I love Royce Freeman.
Yeah. That's how McVay rolls. Michael, defense, Seahawks, Rams, or Raiders. It's gonna be Raiders very close, followed by Seahawks, then Rams. They're all top 10 options this week.
Yep.
I'm still surprised. Yeah, me too. Me too. Anybody with Miami wide receivers, check out their playoff schedule, and this is going to make people mad, but I just noticed Miami has been playing straight scrubs. Yes, they have. They really have been playing a lot of really, really subpar teams. But Brunel, in your guys' opinion, what's the likelihood of Derrick Henry getting traded at the trade deadline? I very low. Do we just, as much as we would love for the NFL to be like Major League Baseball or NBA when it comes to trade deadline, it just doesn't happen. We get hyped up. We get all these rumors starting to go, oh man, it's going to be awesome. All this stuff's going to happen. And absolutely nothing happens. You get like what happened today, a McCole Hardman traded the Chiefs, something like that barely moves the needle. It's just contracts are so tough. Teams actually having salary cap space to be able to make a move work. I'm going to put it at low. That he gets traded at this point. Anything's possible, obviously, but I don't see it happening. Last fish in the pond. Love to see the question. So far I've used San Francisco, Detroit, and Buffalo for this week. What are your thoughts on Seattle versus Arizona, KC versus Chargers, or Las Vegas versus Chicago? Thank you. I think it's got to be Seattle because, like, Kansas City versus Chargers is certainly not a lock for the Chiefs, and that could go sideways real quick. Las Vegas versus Chicago. I know it's Bagnett, but we're also who's going to be? Is it going to be Hoyer or is it going to be O'Connell?
I don't know. Either way, that's not a lock either, right?
No. And so I think you have to go Seattle. Though that's not a lock either. I will say that because Dobbs, and the Cardinals have had this propensity to be able to, stay in games and, win a couple games that I think a lot of people wouldn't have expected. But I think of the three you have here, Seattle would be the one that I would probably most likely go with.
I'm trying to look to see if there's anything else you could possibly do. How do you feel about the Rams at home against the Steelers?
The Steelers. I mean,
Steelers.
No, I mean, but I think it could go either way. I mean, I'm assuming you've already used the Bills. That's why you mentioned them against the Patriots. there's really nothing that stands out to me that's like lock city, outside of the I think Seattle is the one I just feel the most confidence with. Maybe the Commanders, is, but I don't feel comfortable with that either.
Mm-mm.
Especially if Tyrod plays.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So yeah, I think it's Seattle for me.
Yeah, probably. I think the Rams are interesting. They're now favored by a field goal at home. But go Seattle.
A lot of Judy questions. Should I drop Judy for Josh Downs?
Golly.
I'm not doing it.
No. Daniel Caps Keenan. Appreciate the super chat. Thank you very much. Need two, already have Hill, so Lockett, Addison, Downs, Ridley, Deontay.
I'm gonna go Lockett and Ridley, but I really want to say Lockett and Addison. But
I'm with you. And then also for RB, need two here: ETN, Moss, Ford, Foreman, all PPR.
this is ETN and Ford for me.
Yeah. Yep. Appreciate the super chat, Daniel. Thank you very much.
Hollywood or B Rob? I'm gonna go Brian Robinson.
Yeah.
This is okay for previous question. 14 team, 4-2. Okay, Lamar, Mostert, Ford, Amon-Ra, Garrett Wilson, Watson, Dallas, Bitch, Howe, Reynolds, DiBicardo, Downs, Johnson, Johnu. I trade Mostert. Yeah, I mean, I think you can, right? I think it would depend on what you can get. Like I said, if I can trade Mostert for Brees Hall, I'm doing it. I think if you trade Mostert for Jonathan Taylor, I'm doing it. And I think even in those scenarios, with how good Mostert's been, you probably could get even a little bit more added on to that. Maybe like a depth piece at running back or something like that.
Yeah, you have to. I would not do that straight up.
You wouldn't? You wouldn't trade? I would do it in a heartbeat. Even if someone sent it to me. If I had Raheem Mostert and someone sent me a trade for sending me Brees Hall for Mostert, I would hit accept immediately.
I would not.
I just don't think you can count on this rest of this type of production and this stuff to continue with him.
I mean, obviously you can't count on him racking up 3 or 4 touchdowns a game, but what's the only thing that's holding it back is the potential for injury, right? Because like you said, not the picture, the perfect picture of health, but
well, I mean, I also think HN coming back, Jeff Wilson, because they went away from him pretty quickly to Devon HA. I mean, I wouldn't say fully away from him, but like the usage dropped significantly once he did. And so I'm not counting out a scenario where Jeff Wilson takes over 50% of this workload too. Like it's certainly in the range possibility. Like I don't think he's going to be a guy who was when everybody was hurt where he was getting 75% of the opportunity. And so, if that drops pretty significantly, then that value of his drops pretty because then it's going to become very much hard to be able to trust. And like we've mentioned, their schedule has been excellent for this. Like they haven't really got into the tough part of their schedule yet. And once they do, I think that's when things start to change a little bit. Again, I go back to before the season started. If someone were to say, "I will offer you Brees Hall for Raheem Mostert," you'd have been like, "Oh yeah, all day." right? And I get it. The production's there. You can't deny that. I'm not trying to take away from him. But there's also, it feels very unstable situation with him. And this feels like like there's no better time to sell than now. I mean, the guy's averaging 23.2 fantasy points per game. I just don't see that continuing. And I might add, off a 52% opportunity share. Like that is just extreme efficiency that he's seen. And so that's where like I'm perfectly okay. Like if I can get where Brees Hall is now taking over he's now handling 70+% opportunity share. And I know that's not going away. There's not a doubt. Dalvin Cook's not eating into his workload. It would have to take an injury for that to go away. Same thing with Taylor, where there's no guarantee whatsoever with Mostert.
Yeah, I feel like I'd rather just hitch my fantasy wagon to the Dolphins offense, even with him getting a 52%. And I also wonder how much of that is influenced by them just blowing teams out and then sitting some of the starters too. That'd be interesting to look at. But that's kind of where I come in with that. Is I'd just rather have the Dolphins offense versus the Jets or Indy. But on to other questions here. Michael Smith coming through with the $10 holla. Appreciate you, Michael. Should I trade Nico Collins, Jerome Ford for Aaron Jones? I would not do that.
No.
Aaron Jones' hamstring injury has me worried. He was, even after coming off the bye week, we have to remember he was a surprise scratch going into that game before the bye week, and he was a limited participant today. Christian Watson was a full participant just to have something to compare it to. So that worries me. The rest of the team here: Pollard, Robinson, Ford, Watson, St. Brown, Ayuk, Love, Fields, Hawkinson, Andrews and Hawkinson, Nico, Mitchell, Wilson, Spears. If that's Bijan, and you have you're a little thin at receiver potentially. I mean, I really like Ayuk as well, but it just kind of sucks. It seems like a lot of the high end of his production depends on Debo being banged up in terms of consistency, right? Like we've seen Ayuk go off with Debo healthy. But to have Andrews and Hawkinson, that's nice. I would potentially see about maybe moving one of those tight ends for another receiver, but I like that squad. I like it. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate you.
If I'm trading away Justin Jefferson, what would be the bare minimum running back wide receiver should look for? Like you can't, like he's worth way more to you than he is to the other person, right? And that's going to be the problem. Is the other person obviously knows he's out for a while, and they've probably seen the same stuff that you have. That all the different scenarios. So it's hard to ask for what he's actually worth. And like, so, like,
That's one where you need to go to the teams that are sitting at 5-1, 6-0. Teams that think that they can like take on that risk. You know what I mean? Like that's really hard to. I mean, bare minimum, golly. And this one also really depends on how many teams are in the league, right? Like an 8-team league is going to be easier to do than a 12-team.
since you're 1-5, like, yeah, I'm definitely making the move. Like, you got to. You don't have a choice at this point because you got to do something to try to save. And maybe it isn't. Maybe you have to eat. Because he's doing nothing for you. You are not in the position whatsoever to be like, oh, I can wait. If you're a 6-0 team or a 5-1 team, you're fine. You can wait it out. And you, like I've said, even if you can go over that span, if you can win, rack up a couple wins, you're sitting great and you're still fine regardless. But with it being 1-5, you don't really have a choice. You kind of have to just see what the best offer you can get. I would just start firing out offers, things that you would feel comfortable with. I don't like going out there and asking, like putting them up on the block. because you're bidding against yourself and you're devaluing your own player. And so if it was me, I would just start firing out different trade scenarios of seeing what you can get. I don't know what the rest of this team looks like, but sitting 1-5, I think you could make a move for him. I mean, if you wanted to trade him for like try to get like DeAndre Swift, or I've talked a lot about Isaiah Pacheco, Travis Etienne. Travis Etienne's, I don't know if that you're going to get that done, but Isaiah Pacheco, Swift would be an option. Josh Jacobs, who struggled a little bit, you might be able to make that happen at running back. At wide receiver, you're probably having to move down to the wide receiver 2 range of type of players. But I would try to get multiple guys thrown in. It wouldn't just be one player that I'm looking to go get. Even more if you can just get like players like that, I think I would be fine with it. Get like a
Maybe
Nico
like
Collins thrown in or something like that.
T. Higgins. I think
T. Higgins is a great one. I didn't think about him, but yes, he has been dreadful. But bounce back's coming his way, especially after the bye. So that's what I'd be looking to do. But I think at this point, you have no other choice but to sell as much as you buy as quickly as you can. Amari Cooper and Pierce for Puka. Yep.
I also love that it's in all caps except half PPR.
Yeah, Sean. Yeah.
But yeah, give me Puka.
Yeah, all day. I would trade Anthony Richardson, Mingo, Kincaid for Pitts and Waddle Dynasty.
Oh, super flex. Start 10. My goodness. Man. For a Superflex Lincoln, this is 100% dependent on who else you have at quarterback. Because quarterbacks in Superflex they're just absolute gold. Right. So like if you're doing that one, this one really to me depends on who else you have at quarterback behind it. I feel like if you're making this move, you are likely a contender. So if you have the quarterbacks to be able to do it and you're a contender, I would take the Pitts and Waddle side.
I'm not one to. That's all you. So, by the way, I meant Hollywood or B-Rob rest of the season. I mean, they're two different positions. One, so it's hard to really just talk about one versus the other. But
I mean, if Kyler's going to come back, it's Hollywood.
Yeah, agreed.
Crip need a wide receiver and a flex and a full PPR. Jacoby, Evans, Stevenson, or Ridley. It's going to be.
This is going to be Evans.
Good.
This is probably going to be Evans and.
I'm going to keep trotting Rodley out there like the donkey that I am. So it's going to be Ridley and Evans for me.
Yeah, I'm going to go Evans and Ridley, I guess. I don't know. I really wanted to go. Jacoby Myers has been really good, too.
Yeah.
Way to go, New England. He gave the same exact contract to Juju Smith-Schuster.
It's also wild that Jacoby has been playing on the outside for the Raiders. Like, he really hasn't spent a bunch of time in the slot. So, like, obviously up until this year, I was kind of thinking of Jacoby as like a slot-only type of player, but he's now playing on the outside for the majority of the snaps. That's not something I saw coming.
Love to see it for Jacoby Myers. Been a big fan. I've been a big fan of his game for a really long time. I've been on the Jacoby Myers bandwagon for very, very long time, and he now has almost 3 weeks of wide receiver one production.
State. That's where he went, right? NC State.
Yeah, I believe so. Rob, Dobbs or Warren in the flex, half-point PPR. I'm going to go Warren. It's tough, though, because Dobbs has been really good. I mean, he's been the
Give
preferred
me
target.
Dobbs.
Dobbs, yeah, it has. Yeah, I don't mind that if you want to go that direction either. Should I start Saquon over Josh Jacobs and Pacheco? If we do, if so, who do I replace? Oh, man. We can't start both? Or all three? I mean,
Yeah.
they're all three top 10 running backs this week. But
Minnie, who you if you're still here, let us know who you're playing in the flex currently. Because I want to get all of those touches in my lineup.
if you can't, who are you sitting?
Golly, man.
It's probably
Pacheco.
yeah. Unfortunately, I think he'd be the odd man out because I think Josh Jacobs kind of a top borderline top 5 running back this week, and Saquon in his usage. Though I think that's what I would do. But I really don't want to sit Isaiah Pacheco because I have him at 10.
Yeah, fantastic matchup.
Yeah. Should I trade Lamar, Hollywood for Herbert and Jacobs? Yes.
Yep.
Oh, same
so
question.
This is yeah.
Yeah. Tampa Bay or Washington? This is gonna be Washington for me.
Washington by a smidge. I do like Tampa Bay in a bounce back. Although they weren't awful, unless you get dinged for like giving up more than 300 yards in the passing game or something like that. They just didn't have any takeaways, but they still had 3 sacks and get 20 points, so they weren't awful.
Facebook.
Marcos, let's go.
Half-point PPR, Ayuk, Ridley, Puka, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jerome Ford, Jonathan Taylor. 1 running back, 1 wide receiver, 1 flex. So the running back, as crazy as it is, it's going to be Jerome Ford.
Wide receiver is going to be Puka.
Ooh.
And flex will be Ayuk.
Yeah, it's semantics. Yeah, I agree.
Oh, you're going to put Ayuk at wide receiver? No way, man. Ayuk's a wide receiver.
Yeah. Gonna drop Ritter for Rice once Lawrence is declared active tomorrow. Appreciate y'all. Yeah.
Appreciate you, Czar.
Fred, Zeke, or Justice Hill?
Kevin's just absolutely loving that this is a question after shitting on Zeke for the past 3 seasons, and this is where we're at. I'll go Justice Hill here. You're not gonna say it, are you?
It's Justice Hill.
Scared me there.
Assuming that it's PPR. I have Justin Jefferson, Amon Roth, Zay Flowers, Terry. Should I get Curtis or Palmer, JSN, Michael Thomas off waiver? I think this is going to be Palmer for me.
It's really close though because Curtis Samuel's been playing really well for like the past 3 or 4 weeks, but I would I would also lean Palmer. I want to be attached to Herbert versus Howell at quarterback.
Yeah. War Eagle, Christian Kirk or Rashee Rice this week? It's gonna be Christian Kirk, assuming that Trevor
Christian
Lawrence
Kirk.
plays.
Yeah, Christian Kirk, but we both really like Rice this week.
Joshua, another Facebook question. Running back pickups this week. I mean,
Craig Reynolds is at the top of the list for me if he is available. Zach Evans. Then if you want to take, Elijah Mitchell if he's available, Jordan Mason if he's available, and then if depending on how deep your league is, Joshua, then you can start looking at guys like Royce Freeman. If you need someone to pick up as like a just in case, Divine and Zigbo. If Craig Reynolds is not able to go, he got into DNP today, but Wednesday practices we don't overreact to whenever guys are sitting out. Like Devonta Smith, I saw someone mention earlier, he sat out with a hamstring injury. I'm not worried about that yet, so that's why we haven't brought that one up. Myles Gaskin. Like I said, if you want to take swings, Darrell Henderson, depending on the depth of your league and how hurt you are at running back, but that should at least get you started.
yeah, and I think other like cuffs that you'd be looking at, like if those guys are all gone, if waivers have already ran, like Kendre Miller, Tank Bigsby. I think those would kind of be the names that I look at. Like Keaton Mitchell is also something that is very interesting. I know Harbaugh talked about it after this week that they've been looking at ways to get him involved in the offense to start to get to utilize him a little bit more. And so I definitely, because let's be honest, the running backs for Baltimore have been awful. And so it really wouldn't surprise me one bit if they do scheme him to get the ball in his hands because he is super explosive. And we are starting to see a little bit of a trend within the NFL where they're more okay with utilizing these smaller type running backs than what we have in years past. So he would also be kind of a later round guy too that I would look at. Pierre Strong's another.
Whoa, Marcos, buddy, relax. We answered your question. We're running behind. I know it's not your first time here. We've seen you before. It's what we do, man.
Well, it's tough, I think, for other platforms when you're on there because it looks like you just answer your question and no one's listening to you, right? But like if you look at like all these questions, so we just answer them in order. Like that's all it is. Like there's no
Yeah.
preference for one thing over the other. We just go straight down the list. And we probably shouldn't try to be 45 minutes behind on questions.
That would help.
Yeah, that also hurts our ability to. But we try to also give a little more than just a one word response on like just Christian Kirk and does not give any sort of clarification. But then we end up getting in trouble because then we fall super far behind.
Yeah.
But we promise
3
we're not
years,
ignoring any
yeah.
platform.
3 years we have. Although someone this isn't anyone else's issue, but someone did tell me that they had been like asking questions on Twitter, and those never come through. So I don't know what that's about. But anyway, that's the
a
only one that we might.
StreamYard thing, I think, that for some whatever, or it's a Twitter thing that those questions don't come through, like because they used to back when it was what was it called back before
Periscope.
Periscope. Yeah, so when it was Periscope, they would come up, but now that it's not, Twitter questions for whatever reason do not come up.
So that's the only one we ignore, and it's not our fault.
Yeah. So
Michael
yeah,
coming
one
through with
quarterback
another
league. I got
super chat.
Yeah. I got Jordan Love, Justin Fields, hold Fields or trade. Wire slim top quarterbacks from Stafford, Watts. I wouldn't say you're slim with Stafford and Watson sitting out there, but I mean, you're not going to get a lot for Fields to trade him at this point, and especially because it's Justin Fields. Like there's a lot of mixed bag on him anyway of what people's opinion is of him. And now dealing with this injury, I don't think you're going to get a lot for him. So I think you have to hold him. And then you already have Jordan Love. So then I think from there, you just kind of you just play matchups like you're streaming. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
And Jordan Love is in a good spot, but I actually have Matthew Stafford ahead of Jordan Love this week. But I have Stafford at 9. Or no, excuse me. Never mind. I do have Jordan Love ahead of Stafford. I have Jordan Love at 9, Stafford at 10, Sam Howell at 11. Sorry. So I would hold
Yeah.
Justin Fields. Although you don't think Henry will get traded, who are some fantasy relevant players that you think have the highest chance of getting traded? Jerry Jeudy. He seems like the one that there's been a lot of smoke around that could actually get moved. The Broncos seem very much in the sell category of teams. So I do think Jerry Jeudy would be the one that I think I could see the most getting moved.
Yeah.
Generations X. Start 3. Devontae Adams, Amari, DJ Moore, and Chris Godwin. So obviously Devontae's a lock.
I will sit. I'm gonna sit DJ Moore. I just have no idea what to expect from Bajan.
I'm gonna sit DJ Moore. Or excuse me, I'm gonna sit Amari. Yeah, no, never mind. I agree. I'm gonna sit DJ Moore. Yeah. I went back and forth. I think it's between Amari Cooper and DJ Moore for me.
Yeah.
And then Gino or Hal. I'm gonna go Gino. Jay, do you think Chuba and Singletary are going to become the RB1s? No, I don't think Devin Singletary is going to become the RB1. I do think there's a shot for Chuba, but I think Devin Singletary was more of just a 1 week thing. I do not, because the week prior, he handled no touches. And they are on bye. Their offensive line should be getting. I actually think Dameon Pierce is one of the players that I would actually like to buy because you can buy him for absolutely nothing. And so, like, I think he is for people because to me, it's all about opportunity cost. And since you didn't draft him, that cost is gone. Like, it doesn't matter to you. Like, you could trade for Dameon Pierce. If he doesn't work out, you can drop him. Like, it doesn't really matter to you because you didn't invest in him the way other people did. And the way as bad as he's been, it wouldn't take a whole lot to be able to acquire him. And one of the biggest problems has been the Texans' offensive line has been, banged up for most of the year, but they're getting a lot of these guys back. Like, I think Juice Scruggs should be back if he's not back already. I know he was getting close. Titus Howard's back now. And so their offensive line is starting to get healthy. The bye week should help. And then as much as they've been competitive, I do think that it'll help. And the Texans' rest of season schedule isn't bad. I think it's actually pretty good for running backs. So, yeah. I do think, though, Chuba definitely has a shot to being able to do that.
I think Singletary has a shot.
Yeah. I wish people in my league would trade. Yeah. I feel like it's always tough because I think everybody always feels like they just have to actually win the trade no matter what instead of just like improving.
Yeah.
Also, who do I start this week? Tua or Hurts? I'm going to go Hurts.
Hurts close. If I have both of those, I'm trying to trade one.
Yeah, for sure. I want to trade for a wide receiver. My target is CeeDee Lamb. Who should I trade out of my running backs for him? Hall, Kamara, Pollard, and Swift. It's a nice collection. I think it would be Swift.
I would try Swift.
But I would also be okay with moving Pollard too. Or not Pollard, sorry. Kamara.
Yeah, that was going to be my next one too.
And Kamara might be the easier one to be able to make the trade because just he holds like I think people still have judgments against DeAndre Swift and all the injuries, and it takes a long time for people to get over their priors. And so I think Kamara would be a little bit easier. And Kamara's efficiency has not been very good this year. Seahawks, Commanders, Jags, or Raiders defense to stream this week as well. So it'd be Commanders for me.
Yeah.
RMP Media, give up Thielen for Puka and Hollywood Brown. 12 team, half point, 3-3.
Oh.
I think I make that trade.
If you need the depth, I would. Like, if you just need more options at wide receiver, I would.
I also maybe would see if you're really wanting to move Adam Thielen, like it really wouldn't be a bad idea to see if you could get maybe more for Adam Thielen. Because I don't necessarily think Adam Thielen's a fluke. They don't have anybody else there to throw the ball to, and he's clearly
As
not
long
cooked.
as long as he stays healthy, it's
Yeah.
not a fluke.
And so, yeah. Like maybe see who maybe like T. Higgins and another stronger piece. Could be like whoever has T. Higgins in your league.
Yeah, if you need a depth, I don't mind it. But if you're doing it because you want to move from Thielen, thinking that it's not gonna sustain, I think I'd rather hold Thielen. But also, if Kyler comes back, then I I want the Puka side.
Yeah, that's true. Jeff Wilson Jr. was a full practice day. Will you still take Roshan Johnson over him? So to me, that's more of a like. So well, one, if Roshan Johnson was cleared tomorrow and we knew that he was going to play, I'm taking Roshan all day because Roshan is the clear cut lead back where Jeff Wilson isn't. At the best, Jeff Wilson's splitting touches with him, right? It's kind of
Yeah.
the way I look at it. But if you're looking at like
Yeah.
needing to play somebody this week, then you may just have to go with Jeff Wilson because Roshan may not even get cleared. I'm 5-1 and traded Pittman for Jefferson. My other wide CeeDee Lamb, Keenan McLaurin, D Hop, and Josh Palmer. Was this a good trade? Yeah, as long as Jefferson comes back, it's slam dunk. I mean, you'll be
Yeah.
laughing your way to, especially once fantasy playoffs start.
Yeah, that's a situation where you can't get away from that.
Isn't Anthony Richardson out for the season? Yes, but I believe that was in regards to a dynasty question. So
Yeah,
that
it was a dynasty question, Dima. So in dynasty, if you are unfamiliar, you get to keep the same team year over year. So even guys that are hurt, they still carry value, especially a young rookie quarterback like Anthony Richardson in a super flex league where you can start more than one quarterback.
Yeah. Is Kyler's full gold like Deshaun Watson? So there's a huge difference between the two of those. One, Kyler Murray's coming off, an injury where Deshaun Watson sat out for, multiple seasons plus suspension because of, him being an idiot off the field and doing stupid things. But it's a completely different situation, more so because he also missed the previous year prior. Plus, he missed, what was it, like 12 games? Like, that was a completely different situation. Kyler, isn't in that situation. And so, no, I don't think it's like Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
My lineup is Hurts, Eckler, ETN, Moore, Cup, and Olave. TJ, my bench is Pierce, Pitts, Osborne, Hunt, Pickens, Thomas, J. Jettas. Should I try to do trades? No, I mean I don't. I think that's a really solid team. I don't think there's really anything you really need to do.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything there's nothing that stands out to me. It's like you should try and clean this up. I mean, Kapolave, DJ Moore, Eckler, ETN. Now that Eckler is back, should be in a good spot. I mean, you could always try to, with having TJ Hawkinson and Pitts, with Pitts performing well over the past couple of weeks, you can try and pair him with someone else and make an upgrade there. But there's nothing that stands out in this lineup that makes me think you have to go after a certain position or player.
Coulter, good to see you guys. Good to see you. Start 3, half-point PPR. Aaron Jones, McLaurin, Gabe Davis, Michael Thomas, Rashee Rice. So, I mean, assuming he plays, it's Aaron Jones. I'm playing Aaron Jones in this matchup against the Broncos. And then it's
McLaurin and
McLaurin
Rice.
and Rice. Yeah.
Glad we could help Colton.
Akers, Dillon, or Ingram.
Keontae.
I'm going to go A.J. Dillon. And I just got offered Jefferson for Mostert and Puka. Good or bad deal? I'm not doing
the
that.
Mostert side.
Yeah. On this one, that's what I would do, especially with Puka as well.
Yeah.
Should I make a trade for a better RB2? Josh Allen, Bijan, Roshan, Jeff Wilson, Charbonnet, Akers, Craig Reynolds, CD, Christian Moore. The issue here is I don't know what you're going to trade to be able to do that. And Roshan could end up being that guy. For me, I'm going to continue to turn, especially at the rate we're getting injuries here with the running back position. It feels like every week we're getting new guys pop up. I'm going to continue to churn the handcuff department. Like, I think you could, like, if you had to drop some of these guys to add some other like options, like, is there anybody here? Like, I kind of feel like you could drop Cam Akers.
Yeah, you
I don't see them.
Akers.
Yeah, I like Craig Reynolds. Obviously, you could, but at this point, I probably would hold on to him with probably the role he's going to see. But yeah, I think Akers, if you want to drop him for like a for a different for a different handcuff option, I think you could look to do that.
Yeah.
But the problem is, like, you don't have, like, because you're just going to create another issue. Like, if you were to trade one of your wide receivers, for example, like Sutton doesn't hold any value. Not something you're going to be able to trade for anyways. And then if you trade CD, Watson, or Ayuk, you're just creating a whole other issue where your wide receivers now aren't as good to help with another issue. So really the hope is Roshan's able to get cleared this week and he plays.
Yeah.
Kirk, trade away Waller and Kyron for Gibbs and Laporta. And that's also with the fact that likely Kyron won't be back. I think he's in the same boat where he's probably not going to be back
Like week 10.
I think their bye is week 10. I think it's actually week 11 that they're expecting him to be back.
Okay.
So by that point, I mean, depending on where you sit, like I don't know if you really have the luxury to sit around and wait, right? It's tough because we know Kyron and he has been. But with you already having Eckler, Mostert, and Jacobs.
Right. I would take the upgrade with Laporta over Waller.
Yeah, and then Gibbs, I just still think a PPR for him.
If he could, if he ends up being something. Yep. I would do that, Kirk.
We feel good about Roshan. I don't feel good about him now. Like if you would have asked me yesterday, I would have said, yeah, I think he plays for sure. Now I don't. The good news is you're going to know really soon. If he doesn't get in a limited practice tomorrow, you could already pretty much rule him out for week 7. So tomorrow is going to be critical. I'm going to be on Twitter just scrolling through because it always feels like, because I've been following this now with the Bears because, I am a Roshan Johnson owner myself. And it feels like every other team does practice like early in the morning. And I don't know why, but their practice reports never seem to come out. Any updates until like 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I do not know why. Everybody else has seemed to come out much earlier than that. But anyways. The next one. What should I do with James Cook? I mean, I don't know. It just depends on what your other options are, I guess, to be able to say that. Like, James Cook's been fine, And I think where you probably drafted him was like, a 6th, 7th, 8th round pick, something like that. Like, he's paid off his value of where you drafted him. So I think you hold him.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to trade him with how up and down his production has been. So he's just a hold.
Keith, should I play Jordan Mason or Kareem Hunt? This is going to be Kareem Hunt.
Hunt.
Should I start Herbert or Lamar this week? I'm going Herbert.
It's going to be Lamar for me. Close. but I'd have Lamar one spot over Herbert. And this is another situation where I would just trade one of them, so I wasn't banging my head against the wall trying to make this decision every week.
The thing is though that worries me is the choice offense. Our defense has been so good. Um, where I know the Chiefs defense has been really good too, but this game between these two teams has historically always been a very high scoring affair. And if you look at Herbert in his career versus the Chiefs, he is averaging 290 passing yards and almost 3 touchdowns per game. Um, and so this game just has like real shootout potential. Obviously, it's the second highest score, or it's the second highest total on the week too. Where that Ravens Lions game feels kind of gross to me too, where it could kind of just go kind of a defensive battle and stuff like that. So that's why I just prefer Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I mean, I'm good with either.
Yeah.
Just lean Lamar.
Thoughts on if CMC is out, who's the next guy up? I think it's probably going to be Elijah Mitchell. There was a lot of talk afterwards of why Jordan Mason was the guy that got the run. You have to remember Elijah Mitchell last week, heading into last week, was questionable all week, and
Coming
I
off
think
the
even
injury.
coming off injury, Shanahan even talked about it. A reason of why that was. I mean, we've seen Elijah Mitchell whenever he gets carries an opportunity, like he has produced, like he has been a high end
Yeah.
RB2 in his past. And Jordan Mason, we've never really seen that from. So I think it would be Elijah Mitchell. Keith, Jeff Wilson, do you guys know if he's playing or so should I play him or Hunt or Jordan Mason? Yes, I think Jeff Wilson was full participant today, especially on a Wednesday, which is always really good to see. But
Yeah.
I still think I would lean Kareem Hunt in this, and at least for now.
Yep.
Coulter, would you trade Kyron Williams and Garrett Wilson for Jefferson? 5-1 record.
This to me depends on your running back depth. I mean, on the plus side here, you're obviously going to be without Kyron Williams for the next couple of weeks, so like Williams and Jefferson kind of cancel each other out. But it would depend on the running back depth for me. If you have, I mean, because obviously Kyron Williams was either your last round pick, more than likely he was a waiver wire guy after week one. I think you could get away with it if you have the depth.
Jason is on waivers. I have Rashee Rice. Should I drop him and pick up? No. I mean, JSN, unfortunately, like I think he is a good long term, um, obviously option. I think, especially after this year, where Tyler Lockett's probably gone after this year, and JSN really, jumps into that number 2 spot. But right now, that's what it's going to take. Where Rashee Rice is already their number 1 wide receiver. I see here you said Cole Hardman signing. Where it shouldn't worry you at all. Like it shouldn't worry you one bit.
No.
He's not going to jump in and be a starting Cowboy wide receiver. He's not going to command a ton of targets. He is going to play the role that he played with them last year, and that is their gadget wide receiver, a lot of jet screens and stuff like that. That's what they do with him. They use a little bit to take the top off, kind of use him as a deep threat, but
A
he
lot of
is
wind sprints.
yes, and I think this could actually be a good thing for Rice, where it actually is going to kick him to the outside a little bit more because McCole Hardman plays a ton from the slot, where that's where Rashee Rice has been playing too. And I actually think this could actually kick him out to the slot and get see a little bit more different looks as well. So this doesn't worry me one bit for Rashee Rice though. Master God 3, I am 6-0. Well, that's because you're a Master God. Should I trade Stephon and Rashad White for Jefferson, Alexander Madison, and Tank Dell? No.
I would keep Diggs.
Yeah. Though I wouldn't mind trying to trade Rashad White, but good luck with that.
Yeah.
Though I will say, I in all fairness, the schedule they've ran up against in terms of against the run, run defenses has been terrible. Like they've faced the Lions, which is a top 5 run defense. They've faced the Saints, or they're getting ready to face like their schedule they've played recently has been really bad and not it doesn't speak well to the opportunity or It's been a really rough go because Philadelphia they played, which is really good against the run. They played the Saints, which is excellent against the run, and Detroit. All three of those teams have excellent run defenses, and so some of that could be due to that, to why he hasn't really played well. Because we have seen in the one time they actually played a bad run defense, Chicago, is whenever he actually had a good game. But I don't know. It's just hasn't been very good this week. Wait, did we answer that? I think I jumped right off of it. Should I drop Akers for anyone else with these running backs? Zeke, Gainwell, Jamal Williams. No, I would keep Akers in that scenario.
I mean, Gainwell would be the one that I would think about it for, but the other two, I don't really want.
Start Deonta Foreman RB2 this week. If Roshan Johnson were to miss, then I think yes, then you could.
You could, yeah.
Mel, happy to see Mel here. Should I start Love, Purdy, or Howe?
Purdy for me.
Yeah, I agree. It's close. Actually, all these guys go pretty much right in line. I have Purdy at 8, then Love, then Howe. So
yeah.
Well, maybe. Or maybe these are guys he could stream.
Waivers.
Yeah. If you had 3 quarterbacks there, Mel, I would probably say you should look to move on from some of those. You definitely don't need 3. But I assume that they're just waivers. Start Curtis Samuel over Sutton. Yes.
Yep. It has nothing to do with Sam Howell, though.
Yeah. My other running backs are Walker, Swift, Jones, or Williams. Wilson for Jefferson trade question.
Yeah, I think you could, though. You could then, yeah. For Kyron and Garrett Wilson for Jefferson with having Walker, Swift, Jones.
Yeah, I think the only concern you would have is that do they shut him down? That would be the concern, getting rid of all that. But also, I mean, Kyron's going to be out for a while too. So really, you can almost look at it. It's almost like a Garrett was. With the other option you have, it's kind of right now. It's because really all you're missing out on, anyways, is Garrett Wilson. So
yeah,
I think that's the way I would look at it, and just pray that Justin Jefferson comes back at this point. So because there's just been a lot of weird like conversation and talk about that. Depending on where they're at, and Justin Jefferson looking for a new trade and all that stuff. So, or a new trade, new contract. My concern is Rodgers coming back. I don't know. It does sound though like he's way ahead of schedule. Like they like basically he was talking about it and said that I think next week he's going to start running and jogging and all that stuff. Which he's had a similar surgery to what Cam Akers had that got Cam Akers back much sooner. And obviously, playing quarterback is a much different position than having to play running back and do all the stuff you were going to ask a running back to do. But then being much more of a pocket passer quarterback, like obviously you can't just be a statue and not be able to move at all. But I think it's more likely that Rodgers could actually come back for the playoffs. But at this point, you can't really worry about that.
Yeah.
I mean, you're putting in your eggs in the basket of that he's going to be a complete outlier of somebody that's be able to come back that quickly at his age and to be able to perform at the level that you would expect Aaron Rodgers to. So, and for me, it's really going to depend on where they're at once that time comes. Like, if they're still in the hunt for a playoff spot, maybe he does. If they're not, then no. I don't see the reason for them just to come back unless it's just a thing for Aaron Rodgers. I said I'm going to do it, and I'm doing it. Like I could see that
right.
too.
Yeah,
where he comes back 100%. And just plays a game. Yeah, but anyways, we have reached the conclusion of all the questions. So appreciate everybody rocking with us. If you haven't already, which we haven't done a very good job of, hit that like and subscribe button. Like I said, we just got over 5,000 subs, so we do appreciate that and all the support we've gotten. And we will be live again tomorrow night if you're into DFS, and even if you're not into DFS. I say this every single year and all the time that DFS is the best content to listen to on a weekly basis for start sit, because DFS goes at way more deeper and on a weekly basis for that week to be able to really understand like the matchups and everything else. So we will be live tomorrow night to do all that. And then I believe you guys will be back again, Saturday for props? Are you guys doing props this week?
Apparently Tom's life revolves around the Phillies. So it'll depend on when the Phillies play.
So Culture, one, it depends on how old you are, as long as you're of age, because it is gambling, but it's daily fantasy sports. But if you are and you live in a state that it's allowed, DFS is the goat. Basically, you just build a lineup within the salary constraints. You play on DraftKings, you play on FanDuel. Uh, Play on DraftKings. I just can't stand FanDuel, but other people do like it. I shouldn't knock it. I'm just not a FanDuel guy. Okay, well, I just want to make sure. You never know. We have some young people in here before. That's
Porter coming
yeah,
through,
Porter.
10 years old.
Yeah, yeah, Porter, 10 years old, in here rocking with us. But yes, if you're in a state that allows it, yes, DFS is awesome. Now, a lot of people will jump in and see like the huge contests that are like, you know, 200,000 to first. Don't play that. Don't ever play that because it's usually like 500,000 people in there. You're never going to win. You have a better chance probably hitting the lottery than you do making a lineup that's going to finish first. But you would play like cash if you're looking to make a little bit of money, or I recommend small field single entries is easy a way to do it as well. But yeah, DFS is where it's at. I love it. It's DraftKings. Play it on there. You can deposit 10, $15 if you want and build some lineups, which is kind of what we go through. Then we build a lineup at the end. But yes, you don't have to play this big money stuff. I enjoy it. It gives me something else to play other than my own little home league DFS stuff like that, or my home league teams, stuff like that, to be able to get in. So
The best parts about it is, if you have, sitting at, 2-9 in your season shot with DFS, it doesn't matter about the injuries. It matters that week, but like if you're, the next week, you can go in and just build another lineup. It's a lot of fun. And also, like, if you just feel like there's a guy that's going to smash that week and you don't have him on your lineup, you can just go draft him on DraftKings or FanDuel and figure out a way to play him that way.
yeah, just know that DraftKings is full point PPR, and they have bonuses for 300-yard passing, 100 yards rushing, 100 yards receiving, and then which FanDuel does not. And FanDuel is half point PPR. So those are kind of the difference between the two of them as well. Alex, missed the question on JSN or Rice rest of season. I thought we answered that. Did we answer that? Maybe we didn't.
We did, but I think Alex is saying that he or she missed the answer.
Oh, my bad. Okay, so yes, it would be Rice for sure.
Yeah, Rice for me.
Would you drop Pierce for JSN? I would not. I get it with as bad as Pierce has been, but I would not do that.
I think it depends on your running back situation, but in a vacuum, no.
Who'd you rather have rest season? Wilson, Gabe, Palmer, or Spears?
Oh,
I think I would rank this. One, it depends on which team more. What's your depth look like at each position? But I think it would be Gabe, then Palmer, and then Spears, then Wilson. Like Spears, I think is the real deal.
Be Spears for me. Because if we're just like if I'm doing this for rest of the season and we're talking about like this group of players, I'm just going to swing for upside. So I would go Spears and then Wilson. Obviously, Wilson needs some injuries and other things to happen, but like if he could be like the guy in the Dolphins backfield for whatever reason, that's obviously a situation that we would be very interested in. So it would be Spears, Wilson, Gabe, and then Palmer. For me.
Yeah. All right. For the second time. Probably won't be the last time, but for the second time, again, I appreciate everybody rocking with us. Hope we see some of you tomorrow night. I guess we won't be doing the bets because of the.
Well, we might have to do it on Friday instead of Saturday, but we should be doing it at some point. I just don't know when yet.
Yeah, because game 3 is tomorrow.
It doesn't matter.
Either way. All right. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get out of here. Really, Terry?
Can't see, you had to start talking about fucking baseball.
Sorry. Keenan Allen and Stafford for Brian Robinson, Goff, and Christian Watson. No.
No, I went.
Oh,
Keenan
wait, is
side.
that Brian Robinson or Bijan Robinson? I can't imagine you even be entertaining the question if it was Brian Robinson. There's no way I'm training. I mean, as good as Keenan Allen's been so good, and especially with Mike Williams out, like the rest of season, like he's going to continue to see a massive target share. So I don't want to move him. And if that's Brian Robinson, Goff, and Christian Watson, no, it's not enough.
Yeah.
Now, if that's Bijan Robinson, now my ears are perked, and now I would be willing to. But it's still because Christian Watson could go either way.
Yeah, I still want the Keenan side, but obviously if it's Bijan, it make me hem haw a little bit more. But with having CMC and Pollard already, like obviously your bench is a little thin with running back options, but
Okay, so it is Brian Robinson. Okay, yeah,
Okay.
no thanks. We're passing on that. So, all right, we're getting out of here. We'll see you guys Sunday for the live stream to answer all your questions. We'll have all the information. We'll know what's going on by then. So we'll be live again on Sunday morning. I believe we go live at 10 a.m. I think Central Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. All three of us should be on this week. I believe Cody will not be alone this week, so we'll all be there. Me, Maddie, and Cody. So we'll get you guys set up. Anyways, have a good rest of the week. We'll see you. Well, some of you tomorrow night. I will see you tomorrow night. If not, we'll see you Sunday. Have a good rest of the night. Let's get some dubs this week. And we'll be on to week 8 where there are no buys, thankfully, after this massacre of 6 buys. Yeah.
So
Anyways,
stupid.
have a good rest of the night or morning at that point. See ya. Bye.